जय श्री राधे। श्री वल्लभाधीश की जय, श्री नाची की जय, श्री गोवर्धन नाची की जय, श्री व्रजधाम की जय हो। सभी वैष्णवों को सप्रेम सादर हार्दिक जय श्री कृष्णा। Today is the 51st day of our readings, and we are continuing with Varta 38, the story of Vasudev Das Chakra. Bhav Prakash. When Vasudev Das was so strong, then why did he act in this way? He regarded the coins as belonging to Sri Acharya, and he did not want to sleep on the road and get robbed. No one could face him in conflict and steal them away anyway. Also, he regarded all of this as seva to the Guru, and it never entered his mind that this might be offensive to the Lord. If the intention is to serve the Guru, then the action is permissible, and not an offence which might become an obstacle. One should be very careful not to offend the Guru. Part 1 continued. Then he left Agra and managed with just some afternoon refreshments for 2 days. On the third day in the afternoon, the day when Sri Acharya had not eaten, he came to Adel. When he came to the village borders, he broke the lacquer ball and took out the 30 coins, which he then gave to Sri Acharya. He told Sri Acharya that the coins had been donated by the Vaishnavas of Simhanand. Sri Acharya asked him how he had managed to carry so many coins with him when there were so many thieves on the road. Vasudev Das replied that he was ashamed to tell him because he would be angry. "No, I will not be angry," said Sri Acharya. "Please tell me how you brought them." Then only Vasudev Das revealed to him that he had painted a lacquer ball to look like a saligram. Sri Acharya advised him not to do that again. "The thing is that you made the lordly form, but then you had to discard it." When Vasudev Das interjected that there had not been any deity invocation, but that it had just been a ball of lacquer, "It is better not to do this anyway," Sri Mahaprabhuji taught. He summoned his store manager and gave him the coins, telling him to purchase supplies and get the gold bowl back from the moneylender. Sri Acharya completed the day's seva, and when Sri Thakurji had taken rest, he took prasad. After that, his wife and all the other congregation had their prasad too, including Vasudev Das. Sri Acharya wrote a receipt for the 30 coins and sent Vasudev Das off on his way. When Vasudev Das arrived back in Simhanand, he gave it to the Vaishnavas there. All the Vaishnavas there were very happy, but very interested to know how he carried so much money so far, bearing in mind that the route could be dangerously full of thugs and thieves. Vasudev Das explained how he had managed, and the Vaishnavas were full of praise. Part 2. Once Sri Acharya's elder son, Sri Gopinathji, came to Agra. The Vaishnavas there had 100 coins to send to Sri Gosaiji, so they gave it to Sri Gopinathji. At this time, Vasudev Das came to Agra from Simhanand. Sri Gopinathji was asking if there was any such Vaishnava who would be able to carry the coins to Adel. Vasudev Das volunteered. Sri Gopinath wrote a letter to Sri Gosaiji and gave the coins to Vasudev Das. He did the same thing as the previous time, made the ball and painted it with sandal paste, and he dressed up as a renunciate. Again, he managed to get by on just some simple refreshments. On the third day, he reached Adel, broke open the ball and took out the coins. He came to Sri Gosaiji, bowed to him and gave him the letter from Sri Gopinathji and the 100 coins. Sri Gosaiji read the letter and gave the coins to the store manager. Then he fed Vasudev Das some Mahaprasad. 2 days later, he gave a note marking the receipt of the coins to Vasudev Das, who then, after paying his respects, left Adel and arrived in Agra on the third day, where he gave the letter from Sri Gosaiji to Sri Gopinathji. When he read the letter, Sri Gopinathji was very pleased with Vasudev Das, but asked him how he had managed to carry so many coins such a long way. Vasudev Das explained how he had managed. Sri Gopinathji also told him that he should never do this again, and Vasudev Das kept quiet. It was Vasudev Das's opinion that this was the attitude of the path of lawful limitations, that to do this occurred a bad result. He thought that the proper attitude within the path of grace would be that it was justifiable to use this means to serve and protect the Guru, thus regarded what he had done as appropriate within his service. Part 3. One time Sri Gosaiji was settled in Mathura. He completed the morning seva, took prasad and went to his sitting room. He wrote a letter to one of his disciples, Rupa Chandananda, who lived in Agra. In this letter, he asked for supplies for the Vasant Panchami festival. He gave the letter to Vasudev Das and asked him to deliver it and bring back the supplies by the evening. Sri Gosaiji ordered a basket of Mahaprasad and, making a bag out of a shawl, put it round Vasudev Das's neck and filled it with the prasad. Vasudev Das asked Sri Gosaiji, "How will I be able to eat it with my shoes on?" Sri Gosaiji reassured him that he would not incur any faults through this act because it was service for the Lord, and so the shoes would not make any difference. He left Mathura and ate as he went. He arrived at Rupa Chandananda's home when he had just finished his prasad and was washing his hands. When he saw Vasudev Das, he greeted him with the Lord's name and called out to the family members, "Start the cooking and use the huge pot." Vasudev Das said he could not stay to wait for the prasad to be ready. "Please read the letter and give me the supplies. I must return to Mathura immediately." Rupana Chandananda placed Sri Gosaiji's letter on his head and then read it. He called out to his brother to put all the Anasakari prasad he had in the house in one basket and go to sit near the Charchund gate at the edge of the town. "I will meet you there when I have done all the shopping." Rupa Chandananda purchased supplies and cloth beautifully suitable for the Vasanta season. Vasudev Das interjected that his hands had touched the prasad, and so Rupa Chandananda must tie the stuff onto his back. He did just this, and also wrote a letter to Sri Gosaiji. He went as far as the Charachun gate with Vasudev Das, having filled his bag with Mahaprasad. They said their goodbyes, and then the two brothers returned home. Vasudev Das took some prasad and then left Agra. In the afternoon, when Sri Gosaiji arose from his nap and went to sit down, Vasudev Das arrived there. He announced that his hands had touched the prasad and that all the supplies were tied onto his back. Sri Gosaiji got up and untied the stuff from Vasudev Das's backpack. After reading Rupa Chandananda's letter, Sri Gosaiji was very happy. He called Vasudev Das and told him that he had kept a plate of Mahaprasad for him and that he should go inside and have it. Vasudev Das bathed and ate the prasad. Then Sri Gosaiji made all the preparations ready for Vasant Panchami on the next day. Vasudev Das, always ready to serve, then had the sight of the Lord on that festival day. Part 4. After completing his Seva, Sri Gosaiji one day told his valet to take his seat, water pot and everything else he needed for performing his prayers to Vishram Ghat. He usually went to the Ghat with Vasudev Das and a few other Vaishnavas. After that, he used to go to have Sri Kishori sight at his appearance place. One day, Shamchobes from Mathura went to see the local ruler and told him, in order to play a trick on Sri Gosaiji, that if he jailed Sri Gosaiji for a few days, his disciples would pay him thousands of rupees for his release. The ruler sent 200 swordsmen to surround that appearance place, Janmasthan. When Sri Gosaiji came out from there, the ruler's men got ready. Vasudev Das said to Sri Gosaiji that they were looking at them with nasty intentions. Sri Gosaiji replied, "They can do nothing to you, and we have no argument with them, so let's just leave." Vasudev Das walked in front. The ruler's men asked them where they were going. Vasudev Das again said to Sri Gosaiji that he didn't like the way they were looking at him. Sri Gosaiji said he should do whatever he could. Vasudev Das stepped forward. One soldier had a shield and a mace. This one Vasudev Das just slapped and he fell to the ground. He picked up the first soldier's shield and mace and knocked over about 25 men. Then all of them, including the ruler, ran away and hid inside one large mansion, locking the door behind them. Vasudev Das was pleased that they had all gathered in one place. He suggested to Sri Gosaiji that he simply knock the walls down and that they would all get buried. "Do not do that," Sri Gosaiji said. "These men have done nothing to hurt you. Let's go to Vishram Ghat." They both went there. Sri Gosaiji completed his prayers and then they went home. The next day, Sri Gosaiji again went to the Janmasthan. The ruler came there with 4 men. He was wearing a scarf and he begged Sri Gosaiji for forgiveness. "Some people wanted to play a trick on you, but in reality they wanted me to fight with Krishna, Sri Krishna and Bhim. You are indeed Sri Krishna, and you saved all of my men. Otherwise this Bhima would have killed them all. Please now let me be of some service to you." Sri Gosaiji asked him not to say anything to the tricksters. The ruler left there in humility and said to himself, "You see, these rascals wanted to play a trick on him, but this merciful Krishna is kind even to his enemies." So we take a brief rest until tomorrow, when we will start with part 5 of the story of Vasudev Das Chakra, which is Varta 38, on the 51st day of reading. Sab Vaishnavon ko Jai Shri Krishna, Shri Vallabhadesh ki Jai, Shri Gosaiji ki Jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.